I love it. I've been, in June of this year, I've been 50 years in the duty-free business. In June of this year, I've been 57 years in the retail business. I'm still very positive about it, and that attitude is good. And I think the attitude has reflected onto our team of staff. We have many, many senior people who have been here for a long, long time, and I'm happy that that's the case. When we first heard about Dubai, we had no idea where it was, and many people we spoke to reckoned it was someplace in Saudi Arabia. It didn't have its own identity, really. It was very, very small. The population of Dubai at that time was about 300,000 people. Even at that time, the attitude was very positive, so making the decision to come here wasn't that difficult. But I only signed up for 2 years in 1983, and that has been extended to 36 years. In 1983, the government of Dubai and Aerinta in Ireland did a contract to send a team of people here to set up a duty-free at Dubai airport. I was one of a team of 10 people that came here. During that period, which was supposed to be a 6-month term, I was asked if I would stay and run the duty-free here in Dubai, which is owned by the government of Dubai. I agreed to stay for 2 years. I'm happy I did, but now I'm in year 36. And the changes have been fantastic. There are now 3.2 million people living in Dubai. There are 9 million people living in the United Arab Emirates. Dubai is one of 7 emirates called the United Arab Emirates. And last year there were 89 million passengers through the airport here. And our Dubai Duty Free has grown along with that. In our first full year, we had 100 staff employed in Dubai Duty Free. I'm happy to say that we still have 25 of those original pioneers working for us. Our business in the first full year was $20 million sales. And in conjunction with the rest of Dubai, the whole thing has grown. The traffic through the airport last year was 89.1 million. Dubai Duty Free's business was $2 billion, which makes it the single largest duty-free operation in any city in the world. And we now employ 6,100 people. When we came here in 1983, there was no Emirates Airlines. Emirates Airlines now employ 100,000 people. There are thousands of Irish cabin crew working in Emirates. There are many, many pilots working with Emirates. There are a number of thousands now of school teachers in Dubai and indeed in the United Arab Emirates. And there are opportunities for all of these. And what I'm very positive about is, although everything has grown so dramatically in the past 35 years, it still continues to grow. I think I would remind myself a little bit of my grandson now, who's a bit of a tearaway, but he's 6 or 7. I was active, I liked doing things, I liked sport a lot when I was a kid. I played tennis, I played squash. I was in the final of the County Clare squash tournament many years ago. I was thrashed in the final. We were all active. My parents wanted us to do things. I remember when I was 12 years of age making pocket money from sewing letters and selling them to the local shop, for example. I remember buying my first bicycle. It was £11 when I was 12 years of age. I had saved a lorry load of turf and my dad had sold it for me. And my mum and dad kept us involved in a lot of stuff like, the St. Patrick's Night concerts and trying to speak Irish and the sporting stuff and that. But, I wouldn't for a minute try to say I was special. I just thought I was very normal. When I first went to London in the summer of '61, it was my intention just to stay there for the summer and go back to university in Dublin. I decided to extend that, and I was doing a variety of different jobs. And eventually, After having been a bus conductor for 9 months, I joined Woolworths as a trainee manager, and that sounded very posh, except it meant sweeping the floor and learning the departments and filling up the counters and unpacking the lorries and all that sort of stuff. Because I progressed through the system in Woolworths, and I was actually appointed as a ready man, what they call it, and a manager of Woolworths in 1969. And then, because I thought I knew everything about the retail business, I was on holiday in Ireland. I saw a job advertised in the duty-free at Shannon. I didn't really understand what it meant. I went for an interview and I was offered the job, and I took it. I have met many people, yes, but in our tennis tournament, I said earlier, Roger Federer won his 100th professional title in Dubai 2 weeks ago. The first tournament he ever won in his career was won in Milan, and the tournament there was owned by Dubai Duty Free. His 25th tournament was won in Dubai some years later. He has won the Dubai Men's Championship 8 times, and as I say, he's won his 100th tournament here 2 weeks ago. He's been a great example of sportsman and success. We are the title sponsor, for example, of the Dubai Duty Free Irish Open. For the first 4 years of our sponsorship there, that tournament was hosted on our behalf by Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy was world number 1. He's won 4 majors in his career. And over the years, we've had many people who excelled in their sport. For example, Serena Williams won our tournament 1 year. Her sister Venus Williams won our tournament 1 year. We've had 19 world number 1s participate in our men's tournament over the year. They're dedicated people, and they apply themselves correctly to their job. They stay fit, they go to bed early, and whatever else they have to do. Well, I have to give a secret away that I smoke cigarettes. I like keeping things simple. I don't like people who get notions in their heads. I don't like people who step out of line. I think myself, I like to stay very normal. I do like, being able to talk to people on an even keel. But I preach that all the time, so you'd probably, if you looked it up, you might find it. The duty-free industry at airports started at Shannon Airport in 1947. It was founded by a man called Dr. Brendan O'Regan, the late Dr. Brendan O'Regan. The business on the first full year was $10,000. The business in the duty-free industry now is $76 billion. But it did start there. Half of that $76 billion is at airports. And Dubai Duty Free is 6% of that total on its own. It has become, as I said, the largest in the world. But Shannon Airport and Ireland is always seen in the industry as being the origin and the home of it all. At the beginning of duty free, a lot of the brands, as we call them, did not want to be involved. And Shannon was the first person that started selling duty-free perfumes, for example. It was considered for a long time that duty-free meant duty-free alcohol, tobacco, and that was all. But then it started introducing brands all over the place. And of course that has spread right around the world in the same way as it has here. We do like people that will work honestly, work genuinely. We like people that don't get notions. We think all our staff are the very same. We treat everybody the same. And we have in our own company here a policy of internal promotion. So we have not recruited a senior person in Dubai Duty Free for 19 years. Well, I'm very, very happy that Dubai Duty Free is the single largest duty-free operation in the world. I'm very, very happy that we still have 25 of our original pioneers working for us. I'm very happy with the policy we adopted regarding internal promotion and to see the company progressing so well. And, I'm very happy personally that I've been 50 years working in the duty-free industry. Right at the beginning, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, who was the Minister for Defence that time, made it quite clear that part of Dubai Duty Free's duty was to promote Dubai. And if you take our tennis as an example, the Dubai Duty Free Tennis Championship, we own the 2 weeks. The ATP and the WTA last year gave us an assessment of what the value to Dubai those tournaments were by TV viewers and length of time and media coverage, and it was valued last year at $980 million US. So those sort of things are very satisfying when you look back on them. Well, along the way at Shannon Airport in the beginning, there was a general manager of the duty free there called Bill Maloney, and he had been a long time in that business, and it's fair to say he would have been an inspiration. The duty free industry was founded by Dr. Brendan O'Regan, and in the early days at Shannon I had met him, and he was a very inspiring man and has done many, many things. The biggest inspiration I have in my whole life, of course, is my wife Breda. And I'm happy to say that our kids are doing good. We have 2 grandchildren, and we're trying to inspire them and get them to do things along the way. And there are people around the world, of course, that you learn all the time from. You know, you will look at a Taoiseach and you'll think he's crazy and no good, and then you look at one and you think he's very good. You will, the same with presidents of America and pioneers and prime ministers and so on. But I think you just watch and you pick up something as you go along from it. You know, not being able to understand it fully and not living in the UK, I feel fairly certain with what is going on. I feel sorry for Mrs. May, for example. I feel certain if there was another referendum, there would be a resounding result not to leave the EU. Personally, I think leaving the EU is bad. I would be, and I have read little bits about the effect it would have on Ireland. If ever there was a possibility of having a hard border between the Republic of Ireland and the North of Ireland, I think it's a very bad thing. So I think Brexit isn't a good thing. I think it has to have an effect on the business in London. In England, I read about companies threatening that have to pull out if Brexit goes through. I think it's now going to end up with a couple of months delay, but that's all it is. I think Mrs. May is losing votes, which is a pity because she's a very dedicated and hard-working lady. Well, it's been looked at seriously because of the effect it might have on imports and exports and so on. And you know, there's over 100,000 British people living in Dubai. So it's not being treated with disdain. It's not being treated as if it's a million miles away. It is being looked at seriously, and I'm not sure if there was a vote here how it would go, but it is a big consideration. Like there's, you know, the biggest destination, one of the biggest destinations out of here is London airports, for example, out of the airport. We do a lot of business with English companies in Dubai Duty Free. There are many, many English people here in professional positions, so it is a consideration. It's hard to say that it will increase our business or it will reduce our business, because there are new things that come along all the time. For example, VAT was introduced in Dubai in January of last year, and that has affected our business for arriving passengers. It has helped our business for departing passengers. So you have to balance one against the other. But we have yet to see what effect it would have with suppliers that we have from the UK into Dubai Duty Free. Personally, my technology is limited to this. It's a 10-year-old telephone which I use on a day-to-day basis. But from a company's point of view, we're highly technical, and we have to be. Because to do our business last year, we sold 70 million pieces of merchandise in the Dubai Duty Free. We transacted 27 million transactions on our registers. One of our departments is our computer department. We call it our IT department. One of our senior managers is in charge of it, and it's vital that we stay up to date on it, or we wouldn't be able to manage our business. Well, you know, there are sad things in life. Our youngest sister passed away 4 years ago from motor neuron, and I witnessed what I thought was about 8 or 9 years of absolute agony. I have seen in my whole life, you know, people treated badly, and I don't want to use the word abuse as such, but treated badly. And I've tried to make sure that I wouldn't follow that track, and that I've probably bored you by saying treating our staff in the proper manner. I think all the staff are the same and deserve to be treated correctly. 35 years ago, a foreigner could not buy real estate in Dubai. Now one of the biggest developments in the world is happening in Dubai, with high-rise buildings and apartments. In 2003, nobody had heard of Palm Jumeirah. It is now built in the sea. There are 30,000 people living there. There are 5,600 hotel rooms on the Palm. It goes 8 kilometers out into the sea and is surrounded by a crescent which is 13 kilometers long. And outside of that, there's an 11-kilometer long boardwalk where people can stroll. That's the kind of development that happens in Dubai all the time. The best in the world, in my opinion. Yeah, Expo 2020 was awarded to Dubai a couple of years ago. It's run every 4 years. It's a 6-month term. There is a new development going on near the Al Maktoum International Airport to site Expo 2020. And so far, there are 195 countries pledged to take part in it, and all the construction work is going on now. And they expect 22 million visitors to attend Expo 2020. The roadways are being extended for it, the motorways are being extended, the metro system is being extended, so there will be new stations added on, and they will all be finished prior to the start of Expo 2020. In other words, by the middle of next year, all of this infrastructure work will happen. I think so far, the work that's going on for Expo 2020 has created 70,000 new jobs in Dubai. And of course, I was reading the other day, they want volunteers to work during the Expo 2020, and they've had 50,000 volunteers willing to go and do voluntary work during the exhibition itself. And it runs for 6 months, so it's going to be a long-term thing. There's a new airport in Dubai near the Expo 2020. At the moment, the capacity of that airport is 26 million passengers a year. 10 years' time, there will be 3 runways in operation there. There will be 2 new concourses and a capacity at the airport for 135 million passengers. And that's definitely going to happen. We spend 2.5% of our sales every year on marketing and promotion. It's headed up in Dubai Duty Free by an Irish lady called Sinead El-Sabai, who just last week, on Ladies' Day, there is an organisation in London called iSports Connect. They have 24,000 members, and they named for Women's Day last week the top 10 ladies in the world behind sport, or in sport. One of them is an Irish lady called Mary Davis, who is the current lady in charge of the Special Olympics. One of them is Serena Williams, the best women tennis player ever. One of them is a lady in charge of the marketing for Formula One. One of them is a lady in charge of the marketing for FIFA. One of them is an Olympic athlete. And one of them is Sinead El-Sabai from Dubai Duty Free, who works here and is one of the top 10 people in sport in the world as designated by iSports Connect. We don't have any board of directors. We're assigned to a government-owned company called ICD, which is the Investment Corporation of Dubai. We're part and parcel of that and 61 other companies, and that is government-owned. I'm the chief executive of Dubai Duty Free, and my chairman is His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Saeed Al Maktoum, who's a terrific man in the government here. In addition to being chairman of Dubai Duty Free, he is also the president of the Dubai Airport Company. He's the Chief Executive and President of Emirates Airlines. He's in charge of Expo 2020. He's in charge of the development of the new airport. He's on the Government Fiscal Committee. He's the chairman of the Emirates National Bank of Dubai and 22 other boards. He's an absolute superstar, and we're very lucky to have him as our chairman. I think not being afraid to try something new, for example. If you again take Dubai Duty Free as an example, we're the title sponsor of the Dubai Duty Free Irish Open Golf and have been for 5 years. We are the title sponsor of the Dubai Duty Free Irish Derby and have been for the past 12 years. We own in Dubai, for example, a tennis stadium which we built. We own in Dubai an Irish pub called the Irish Village, which we built under the stadium. We own the tennis tournament that goes into that stadium, and it's called the Dubai Duty Free Tennis Championship. 1 week ladies, 1 week men's. And 2 weeks ago, Roger Federer won his 100th professional title at our tournament in Dubai. I like the fact that we continue to progress. I like the fact that we continue to do new things, like the events we sponsor. We own a hotel, for example. 5 years ago, we did not own a hotel. We now have a 292-bedroom, 5-star hotel. It's managed for us by the Jumeirah Group. We have a foundation. It's called the Dubai Duty Free Foundation. We have given away $27 million in the last number of years. We have restored over 1 million eyesights in the last 5, 10, 6, 7 years. We have helped to rebuild a village in Sri Lanka which was wiped out by a tsunami. We have built in a southern island of the Philippines a street that was ruined by earthquake. We had some staff working for us in that area, and there's now one street there called the Dubai Duty Free Street, where we rebuilt 32 houses and gave them back to the people who had lost their homes. I think it's just a case of giving back, you know. We have all our customers spending, we have staff from 45 different countries, and I think it's just the right thing to do. I have to say, I've almost half my life in Dubai, and I've learned an awful lot from how things are done here. The present ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed, 30 years ago said this is going to be such a kind of a city. It's going to have this, it's going to have that, and has done a fantastic job. Like in every country in the world, there are rules here. Obey the rules, act normally, work honestly, work hard. I don't mean in a slaving sort of way. My advice would be just to obey the rules and to behave themselves, and everything will work out terrifically.